degrees. Okay. So Burning Man is, I think it started, I guess, yesterday or a couple of, whatever, today, yesterday, whatever we call it. Started on the 27th. So it's a bit of a elitist ritual. I would say there was some similarities to Bohemian Grove in some form or another. Maybe not exactly. Another frat party, basically. But at least this one you get tickets to. Anybody can go to, unless you gotta have a lot of, be a week in the desert, which doesn't sound too promising, especially it's been pretty hot recently. So maybe not as exciting as it sounds, but it's a lot of artistic energies there, or autistic, whatever it is. It's both. So, so tapping in some of those vibes there. I'm not sure if people are aware of it. That probably not. I mean, some people are, but obviously they just got started and everything. Usually they have like a live feed of what they're doing, but I didn't see one this time. So yeah, it's just debauchery at its best. You have to have some kind of wealth to go out there. Not necessarily everybody does, but for resources, I think everything is free there too. It's not free to get in, but once you get in, a lot of stuff is free. I think they have Starbucks there too, out in the freaking desert. That sounds exciting. So tapping into those energies and yeah, even the Bohemian Grove energy. Actually, I came up in the news recently. So tapping on some of that and future timelines, or there's a hurricane coming right for where I am right now, headed right in this direction. Figures right. I forget the name of it. But it's a hurricane something. Irma. Adela, something like that. Adelia, I don't know what that's called, but anyway, it's on its way here. Adelia. Yeah, I'll post it here. So yeah, it's heading right for my direction. So that's nice. So timeline energies are coming through. I think it's just going to get rain. It's scattered too. Once it hits land, it starts falling apart. So also time traveler from the year 36. It's actually a documentary. I didn't watch it because I couldn't. It's like a mocking. It's like a mockery of it, but I feel like they were tapping into some kind of. It's like the Confessions of a Time Traveler from 3036. So and I forget what the story was, but the guy showed up and started taking clothes, thinking it was free because in this time it's free. That's the only thing I got from that. You have to watch a documentary. It doesn't look very promising, but either way, it happened to those energies. I did a time traveler energy yesterday about a time traveler met his mother. That's now a man. And I'm not going to go into spoilers of that one. That was from yesterday's. Yeah, it does feel that some of that's going on right now. Because a time traveler carries around a briefcase or like a violin case, and just so they can get obsessed with time travel and you can go insane. It just felt like the movie itself just had to express that pain that's going on, and the way I found it felt like it was sent to me, which doesn't happen very often. Usually, just you stumble upon something, but this felt like it was sent to me. The part of spiritual awakening is becoming more aware of these different abilities. So, as for the rest of the population, well, they're just going to do what they're going to do, ignore everything. Total Recall came to mind also, which is, that's not necessarily the best energy. I mean, channeling will be okay because it can take a neutral perspective. I've talked about this before a long time ago, probably a very long time ago, but if it comes into a reading, this is very rare. It comes into a reading and someone's been through a total recall. Doesn't mean it's a good thing because they also mean that they've been planted here. Because the movie itself is about having a plant, and they think they're doing good, but they're actually here to manipulate. So it's a little bit of a tricky energy there. It's like, oh, I'm doing good. I'm here to awaken society. And what if you come here to hijack society? You remember it. You think you're doing it. Yeah, because the idea was for, in the movie, even in the book, I believe it's some aspects of that it's in the book. But, Quaid by Arnold Schwarzenegger, we'll just go by the movie version. It's easier to remember. Because the book is not fun. It's not a fun read. His stuff's, Philip K. Dick stuff is not fun. That's why they take it and they rework it. They take the good aspects of it and make it, because it has good ideas to it, but they're just, anyway. It's not for everybody. That's why I struggled so much. But Quaid, Arnold Schwarzenegger character, I feel like he's doing good and he's a good guy, and he becomes aware of, if he goes on this mission, he thinks he's doing all these good things, and he actually leads them, the bad guys, to the person they're trying to get, which is, so, not to go into details. I mean, I think there's some here that think they're doing good and they're doing a lot of manipulation. And not to go into too much detail on that. Some of them have a big following too. Not to go too much detail of that. So, they believe they're doing the right thing. And there's some Zeta connections there, and just some bait and switch energy there. So, well, as the spiritual community becomes the religious alien community, not everybody's going to be involved with it, but it is pretty strong out there. I don't know if that's scary, but it is. It's uneasy. I mean, some alien groups literally act like they're religious groups or occult groups, and it's kind of yeah. And they're very dead set on what they believe and everything. Not that they're violent, but they could be if triggered right. So yeah. Well, especially it brings like some kind of financial security and whatever it might be. They can get kind of vicious at the same time. I've already dealt with some of that. With the heat from, well, they have a certain belief system. They want to go by their belief system. They don't want to go by anything else. They're not that open-minded. Not really. Sort of not really. So, yeah. Eventually, they'll have their own Netflix documentary one day. There's a bunch of them. So, that's going to be a docu-series. And a lot of it's going to come from YouTube. So, yeah. If anyone's doing that kind of stuff, there's a lot of material out there right now. Yeah, the holiness that's out there. So, I wish that wasn't the truth, but it is. So every time I come for our sessions, we have scheduled a shop here. Webinar, social network, behind the scenes. Yeah, not going into too much detail on all that. Yeah. Yeah. As a hurricane is headed in my direction. It's hard to say where it's going to go. It might go further down, heading right for me. Great. These are never right. So, as for now, if it was called Hurricane Hillary, I know she's coming straight for us. Whatever this name is, yeah, let's just call it Hurricane Clinton. Of course, you have. The art stuff of Burning Man is very fascinating, very liberal, but it also has, To be able to do this type of stuff, you have to have some kind of backing. Poor people aren't putting this stuff together. So it's still some, and to have the time to dress up like all this. I mean, only the rich elite have abilities to do this stuff. The rest of us are, working at McDonald's or whatever it might be. So there's still an elite class here, even if they take time off of work. There's still some kind of elite class that's there. Maybe not everybody, but look at this stuff. I mean, who has time for all this shit? It's like, so it's quite the sight. I mean, the art stuff is, but it's like some of it's manipulative art, and it's just the portals there. Yeah, that's a portal. So sex magic is there. Just bringing in the new timeline. It's changes. So it's interesting. I don't know if something happens at this. Not necessarily it has to be violent, but yeah, there might be something might happen here. I don't know what, but it might hit the news possibly. It's hard to say. Yeah. Changes in the air. Let's put it that way. Oh, Mad Max energy there. That was interesting. It's like, jeez. So anyway, yeah. Almost feel it has like a Dubai energy. So that's not something you anyway. Okay. All right. Only reason I bring it up is for those that aren't aware of it. I think I did a video about this last year too. So it's a burning time. So yeah, it's a lot of rituals. There's no Arturian energies. Not to say it's all bad. No, it's just there's your CEOs of some of these companies go there, enjoying the debauchery. So yeah, it's like they really just have a Bohemian Grove, like a new age version of it or a hipster version of it. Because Bohemian Grove is mostly a men's club, which is kind of creepy. But anyway, yeah. So all right, of course the Bohemian Grove comes from the secret society. It's connected to like Yale and things like that. So I think that's why it's mostly a male energy. Well, they keep it secure. I don't think it's about it just has to be males. I think there are a lot of females in it now, but I think it's just about keeping it secluded, keeping it locked down. Boys club locked down just for obvious reasons. So who they're going to kill next week or next year or whatever it is. Yeah. So what kind of lasers are going to send across the world? Where blue, my background is blue. You can't tell it's blue, so I'm okay. Kind of. They can still burn the whole building down. At least the background will still be there. So I don't want to put that out there, but anyway. Okay, all right, going to the Burning Man energies, consciousness. I think some Bohemian Grove energy will come through. Secret Society energy. Also, time traveler from 3036. I might do a skull and bones things tomorrow if I remember. Maybe. I haven't done one of those in a while. I've been talking about those guys anyway. Well, I've been talking about those energies anyway, but and then total recall frequency. Like I say, total recall is kind of it's a tricky energy. You don't really hear that you don't really hear that very often or ever. But it's like I said, it's not even necessarily a good thing. It comes up in someone's energy. It's like, oh, not good. Well, it might be a plant. It might be turning it off. It might be a past life thing, and it's not active, and that's a good thing. If it's active, not that you can always tap into that because they don't want you to, but sometimes you get the signs like, is this person not here to help us? Is like a shadow being or shadow beings are helping them. Why they're so popular and this and that. They'll get shadow banned, they'll get this or that. They might say they are, but they really aren't. Yeah. So all right. It's tough. It's not easy being the 1%. So all right, blessings. Here we go. Greens is the Burning Man consciousness. Is this the elite's energy? Well, it doesn't always act well. It doesn't want to say that publicly. There is a soul capture energy there to basically, celebrate its power, its influence, manipulation, but not to say it. Free love. It is like a modern hippie energy, but only for the elite, only for the powerful, even those that can't really afford to go, but find some way there. And some are those that go there are to explore those energies, not necessarily to be manipulated by it, just to explore it. Others are part of an agenda to control society. Obviously, they're not going to make it that clear, but they're also showing their power, like they can do anything. They can be some rich, spoiled person, create all these artistic, creations, which are fascinating, but also they can just kind of do nothing with their lives also at the same time. So some of them are, some of them aren't. So it's basically showing that they have power over your reality to a certain level. Maybe some kind of comfort zone that most, if you can all be able to go, you probably more would show up. Just for the sake of just because it's like an adult Disneyland to a certain level, just out of curiosity. But most can't afford it, can't get out of a job, can't. That's probably for the best. But either way, it does have a controlling mechanism built into it, but it's not going to show it. It's not going to say it. It'll show it to a certain level because there is some mind control energy, psychedelic frequencies, and yes, the government is there somewhere. Testing out psychological warfare because that's what they do. Well, not necessarily. More think of it more of an experiment than necessarily mass manipulation. But then again, if it is a manipulative energy, there's the government's always involved to a certain level. Doesn't mean they have that much power. A lot of them are pretty ignorant. They just are. So it's just because they have power doesn't mean they know anything. But as for the Burning Man frequency, it also shows timelines. Sometimes I can see the future. Sometimes they tell you the future to a certain level. Can you pick up on it? Like some of their artistic creations can also kind of give you a hint of what things to come. Not that many of you can really or even pay attention, but some of these things might come up. Maybe not now, but in the future. Some kind of like The Simpsons, how The Simpsons is predicting the future. Well, an event like this can predict the future also. Just because it's just the vibration it taps into. It doesn't, it's just the higher elite frequency, you could say, because it broadcasts at a certain frequency that some of you can tap into. Doesn't mean you need it. Somebody might even feel sick tapping into it because it does have a lot of selfish energies connected. So, blessings. Greetings. This is a time traveler from 3036. Yes, there are some trickster beings that do come from 3036. Because they come, well, it depends on what version of Earth they come from. It can be, yes, a world that's lost completely. And they come here actually to recalibrate their frequency, figure out who they are. It's like they would sometimes they try and travel from their reality to yours to get away from where they're come from. So there's a little bit of telling of, and even become part of society. Now, would they remember that they did that? Not necessarily, but they come in, they manipulate the timeline, and actually give themselves some kind of identity. Realize this is done more in the fourth dimension, and become, they're physical beings, but they have more fourth dimensional insight. But when they come here, they set everything up, and then their mind erase themselves. Now they're part of society. Now they have friends. They don't know where they came from, or they're just a loner, or whatever it might be. The friends, it's a little bit more complicated design that, but there are ways of doing that. But kind of implant memories false memories of people knowing you and just basically give you an idea of normalcy. So, as we were saying, what we're saying here is a little bit out there, but some of you can probably pick up on some of those vibes. Yes, this doesn't happen very often, but it can. So it's just, I mean, some people come from other versions of Earth and just yes, implanted here and just it's seamless and they don't notice anything. But time travelers, yeah, sometimes they're trying to get out of their time. Doesn't mean your future time is going to be derailed and just a lost existence. No, it's just that 3036 is known for beings that just come from worlds that are kind of out of sync with themselves. So it doesn't mean they're here to cause trouble in your reality, not necessarily. No, but the beings are part of your future or 3036. Yeah, they're not ones to say anything. They say it's too far into the future. They don't want you to know anything. But there are observers, yeah, in the higher dimensions, fourth dimension. You keep an eye on the aliens. Aliens can't always see them or know who they are either, because these are like future versions of yourselves. You say there are government projects for time travel, but it's also private companies are doing it too, just like remote viewing, and they keep it very secretive. So how do they fund it? Just private backers, things like that. It's not the easiest thing. It's just basically you have to come from like a university or somebody with knowledge of it. It doesn't just you just have funding for it. It doesn't just create a startup and all of a sudden you have a time traveling company. It's not like that. Oh, because time travel can be very dangerous, as some of you can probably imagine. Well, yes, there's times where it's legal. Yes, and then there's time traveling where it's illegal, and that's where the timeline wars come in. So you can time travel, not especially as an observer, you're better off. When you start messing around with things, it depends on what it is. If you're trying to help your timeline, your family, or someone else, really trying to be helpful and just have positive consequences, it's different. Or it cause trouble, then it's a timeline war. And Anunnaki are known to get involved with things like that. Well, sometimes when I race timelines, of course, you have that with Tartaria, but that was at a higher source from the astral realms. Yeah, there's much in the mud floods and all this, and your what do you call it? Your World's Fairs is brought into your reality, wasn't going towards the agenda that was set, and they all vanished to it. They're still existing, not in your dimension. All of this still exists somewhere, just not in your reality. So you're seeing remnants of it. It's like it's an idea that just, the direction of humanity went in a different. It just went different. It just went a different direction. So I think a lot of this has already been said already. So this is. Brings total recall consciousness. We're the zetas. We're not total recall beings, but yes, there are many agendas done by your elites in the higher realms, fourth dimension, fifth dimension, sixth dimension, that your world doesn't understand. Top secret projects, very top secret, that is even difficult to even channel, and probably best to just be very careful tapping into these timelines. Well, you can get energy shocked, mental, headaches, whatever it might be, because somebody probably doesn't want you to see what they're up to. And not that you would see it, but that you're looking at all for it. But there are plants here, yes, human plants that are, I mean, there's probably a better word for it, but either way, not just in the spiritual communities, governments, and all that, to make sure a timeline happens the way it is. Of course, that can be derailed and they can fail. As for the spiritual communities, yes, there are several plants that are popular, and just it's like it can be exposed, but maybe people aren't ready to expose it yet. And some of you are already seeing it. It's like, there's things that just don't make any sense. But there's also enforcers, like, yeah, people might see it as a fraud, but they're trying to keep it up as long as they can. But there's enough people giving it power where it just still has life. So why are they doing this? To suppress society, to control it. Yes, using religious type of methods, not using the word religious, but using those programs. He's looking for a program. A religious program is wide awake. It doesn't call itself religion because people will run away from that. But they can call it alien ambassadorship, whatever it is. And some are just, wow, that's fascinating. It's similar to Scientology energy, yes. Of course, that word is similar to religion, which makes many sick. So they changed the terms, but still have the same agendas, like Scientology, religion. So that's where you see that in spiritual groups already. Now, can you see it? Some of you see it. Most obviously are not seeing it. They go in blindly. They think they're connected to higher knowledge, end up being just being kept in a place of just to keep out of everyone's way, basically. Just they're giving their power away. They don't even realize it. Sometimes some are, not all. And just they feel like they're part of higher knowledge. And there might be some truth to that at a certain level, but it doesn't mean it's higher knowledge is going anywhere. Because they're always going to put some kind of higher knowledge in there to add some salt and some flavor to the control. So it's just to keep humanity from ascending, really what comes down to it. And it's working very well. And so there's always going to be, now realize this is just part of the game. It's not necessarily a personal, technically you can see seen as that. But as you are ascending, and some of you probably are, but there's others feel like they are ascending when you're actually descending. And that's part of the game. So it's just part of the, and those are pulled into the conspiracy ideas and all that. Not to say they're wrong. There's a lot of truth there. And there are areas where some truths they just don't want to make public. It's like, this is just too crazy. Even some conspiracy theories that have a huge following, it's like they're just, even themselves, like, how far do you want to go? And then, yes, like what happened to Maui. Some are just not ready to go there. There's a mixture of agendas there. Of course, I'm not going to go into that for obvious reasons. It's an attack on the U.S. in some ways. So, there's a power grab. Let's put it that way. Yes, it won't show. Well, just trust your intuition, not to put fear out there. You'll make it through all of this. This world is a typical, it's a psyop to a certain level, but you can still win in this gameplay. Just don't let distractions hold you back. It's like a game. Just keep going forward to the next level, basically. It might sound simple. It really isn't, but it just, even if you feel like you get manipulated in some way, as long as you keep going forward, you'll find your way out of it eventually, if you even want to find a way out of that. Because they're not making it easy, as you can see. So it's just basically just to keep the world. It's like it comes down back to Atlantis. It's like, when humanity lost their powers, so it's like, you want to gain your powers, go right ahead. We're going to test the hell out of you to see if you pass, so you can regain your abilities. And obviously, many are still failing, but you are talking about crystal energies, higher dimensional knowledge, and that's been happening in the past too. But now you have the internet, you're helping yourselves get together and really actually making it happen, and it is happening on a personal level for sure. But as for the rest of the world and all that, has a lot to go through. Not necessarily it's a bad thing. It just is no rush to go to the higher dimensions for a great deal of society. There's so much, there's so much to explore here, and that's those of you that are advancing to be aware of that. Some feel like you need to be in higher. Everybody needs to be in higher dimensions. But that's not always the case. Yes, there's a great deal here to be explored. That's why this world's not going to go anywhere anytime soon. And some of you might incarnate back here just to bring out some of these mysteries. You're doing that here to a certain level, but It might be an Egyptian incarnation or some world way, some place in the world where you're here to bring an artifact or some kind of knowledge back into the public. Some feel like they're doing it now, but yes and no, it's happening currently. But you'd be surprised what you're here to. Yeah, you might go through some hardships in this incarnation, but if you incarnate again, most likely those hardships won't be anything like they are in this one. It'll be easier. If you're going through a great amount, it'll be easier. If you even decide to come back, most aren't probably, but those that do decide, it'll be just an easier road. It's hard for a lot, as you can see. You see the weather patterns, you see all this. It's going to get stranger in the future, but not to worry them.